Open the meeting at 5:07, and we'll say the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
No, sorry.
Sure. Yeah, it is.
All right. So we didn't have a meeting last month, correct?
Correct.
So we'll review in August. Do we have a motion for minutes?
Motion to accept the minutes as written for August 14th, 2018.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor? Passes. Any public to speak? Or non-agenda item? See any? Is the commitment ready this time around?
Tomorrow morning I'll have to do the sort of kind of
Okay.
lag a little bit. I'll speak on. Where are we? Oh, yeah. So I'll speak on that. I want to make some transitions with this. Obviously, I know short billing obviously has been a little trending. Obviously, on the late side lately. There's some redundancy that we need to eliminate. Mostly the keystrokes that we apply through receiving it from the water district to myself reviewing and inputting, and then being re-input into Trio. So, quick conversation was a couple of steps in the process. Obviously, looking at options into a export-import just to receive electronically, have them import it into Trio. Hopefully that they'll correlate with account numbers. There are some differences. We'll have to adjust that. Whether that's us buying software or finding some other method in regards to that. So that's an investigation I need to meet with Al, superintendent, in regards to like software to simplify building on this end. And then obviously we had mentioned before in commitment in general, commitment signing. Obviously there is rule or whatever that's, what was that? The wording says that we don't have to, obviously, legislation.
Right.
We don't have to vote on it, so
Yeah.
if we want to, we have an option to push that to the ordinance committee, so we can change that within hours, saying that we can just send billing out rather than having to go through this process. Now, I'm not necessarily against that. I do like the ability to review it, though. Whether that's my self-review prior, because sometimes those anomalies that you do catch.
You'd have to check that before it was just sent out.
Oh, absolutely, in that regard. I think this is kind of nice too in its own regard, but maybe to simplify the process and streamline it. Step number one is to meet with Al and try to figure out some like software needs for the town to adopt those readings electronically or.
There's definitely be a way. We'll talk to Dan.
So your thoughts on that are, it would be good to streamline and not have a commitment, but you also like when we do the commitment.
Yes, I mean, a review process is nice, I think. But at the same time, what do you do in-house? Bill, water bill wise, you just.
We don't have to have a commitment to send them.
But you just review what comes in on reader and.
It comes in on the reader, and
It comes in the reader, she downloads it, it'll tell you high flow, low flow, if there's problems. Plus, she goes through it and researches back and forth, and we look at it, and then it gets sent out.
Trio kind of does that right now, where they show a percentage increase that may be, concerning, so we still have that option there. So, but I think it definitely needs to be one process sent from the water district into Trio, billed out.
Well, honestly, the way it is now, census, I don't know how it's gonna work, but it should be able to, even if we have to do a second reading to send you guys or duplicate the file, because I don't think the NDS file is gonna work with Trio, so we're gonna have to figure that out, but I know we can. I know we can do something. I've just gotta talk to Dan, he can figure it out. He deals with this stuff.
as far as the commitment goes, we get a packet with hundreds of numbers on the night of the meeting,
You're not gonna review on that.
and we peel through it real quick, and half the time we have to ask you what it means. The only way that us reviewing works at all is if we get it like 2 weeks prior to the meeting, or a week prior to the meeting, so we could read the thing at home.
And
I mean, if you want us to review, or if the board thinks they'd like to review it, then we just have to receive it sooner.
Which I think some of that process will help.
But also, I think it's good to put trust in the billing department. I don't think they necessarily need us to look over their shoulder to figure out if they're doing their job that they know how to do, that we don't.
Agreed.
I guess my thought of it, even if you send it to me a week before, them numbers are not gonna mean anything to me, because I don't know
That's right.
the history. So we're relying on you to say, yes, we look at the bottom dollar number and might ask a question, but as far as I'm concerned, it's your job to make sure it's right after the treasurer.
I do think if we can eliminate some of these steps where so many people are keying these numbers, it will eliminate human error anyway. I mean, if you key a number, 3 numbers are numbers, you get to type in them and you don't know if you type in, it's not like a word that you're gonna catch that you spelled wrong. So if we can figure out a way to eliminate some of the keying, I think that would also definitely cut down on any errors.
Absolutely. My biggest, obviously between the error, we've been fortunate with limited errors with these keystrokes, but obviously the time frame is really starting to be pushed. We're not being efficient in getting these bills out in accordance with the water district. We're just trying to keep on that quarterly in regards.
Yeah, I guess personally, I think the commitment that we do here is kind of unnecessary.
All right, so I guess I agree.
And it does cause problems, and it causes us to have extra meetings sometimes, which costs the town.
Absolutely. So,
Can
go ahead.
I suggest, or can I ask this, can we make a motion right now to accept, if you approve the commitment, that we will accept it, and somebody just, or 3 of us can come in and sign it, or whatever, or one person signs it, or
I mean, we can either,
I just don't-
possibility there, or we have applicable legality or that, but the other option is to, in some regard to make a motion to the ordinance committee to accept legislation's push that we don't longer have to accept, no longer have to
doesn't have to be signed each
proceed
time.
with the commitment process.
Yeah. So we just.
I don't know how that has to be presented to the ordinance committee, I don't know what that paperwork entails.
You're gonna have to get the legislative wording.
I had that at one point.
I went to a meeting, I'm the one that passed it off to you
And I
guys.
can find it, I think so, if we can,
I've got that somewhere.
If you want to, I mean,
Maybe.
loosely we're talking about this, and 2 of us seem to be okay with dismantling that process. I don't know what you guys think. I don't know that we have to have a motion on it if Keith can just do the research and bring us more information for us to have something to have a motion on
Okay,
next meeting.
I will have.
And
that
it's still,
motion to send it to ordinance.
we can make all the motions we want unless the ordinance committee changes it, we're still gonna have to sign the commitment.
They meet, and I'm not sure when they meet.
Call Maine Rural Water, they would have information on that. And you guys are a member, right, so,
I gotta renew my dues for
yeah,
$600.
it's coming right up, isn't it?
That went up significantly.
Yeah, they lost funding, so.
Okay, that'll be a dead horse, I'll bring back information. It may involve, depending on the tracking of the ordinance committee right now, another big push to get a bunch of corrections out, or updates, additions, so, I don't know what their timeline is in that push, so.
If it doesn't happen for 6 months, it doesn't happen for 6 months. I mean, it is what it is. We've
Yeah.
been doing it this long, we can do
That's
it a little
right.
bit longer. I remember back before we had the system we have now, and the water district billing was, it was, if it was due out January 1st, if it was out February 1st, we'd be lucky. And then at least another month after that, the sewer department was out, just because that's the way it was. So things are better than they were, but they definitely could be better.
Room for improvement.
Okay.
We all set with that one?
Yeah, I am right.
So let me ask one question though, are you gonna call us, are we gonna have a fast, quick meeting for the commitment this time though? Then,
Yeah, so
just send us something?
obviously, with all effort tomorrow morning, Rebecca and I are gonna be here at 6:30. Hopefully, get all sewer bills in. Keyed in, thank you. And at that point, aside from stuffing envelopes, we can hopefully get something in. Probably can't get
We can
reaches.
have the envelope stuff tomorrow and have a meeting and then hold them until after you guys approve it and sign off on it. That's generally what happens. We
So
get it all
we
ready
have-
to go
so-
and they just
So we
get
need,
dropped.
how many days we need for that?
Okay, just call the meeting.
Yeah, just whenever you guys can squeeze it in.
No, I mean,
Is it 3 days? Do you need
Yeah,
3 days?
That's what he was asking.
That's-
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I need
So-
to-
You plan it and let us, if you wanna plan it right now, let us know. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at
We can have them stuff tomorrow.
If everything gets keyed in 3 hours tomorrow, I think we'll be all right prior to the airport meeting.
October, Monday's
Well-
15th.
as long as you have them stuffed by Friday, you're good, right? But they-
As long as it's keyed in tomorrow and submit it, and generate it.
so,
we're
but
good.
if it's tomorrow, it'd have to be Monday, right?
Yeah, Monday,
Okay.
4:30. What time do you guys get off from work? What time works for you?
We get out at 4, so
Why do we have to wait till Monday?
3 days to post it. If we don't get it, in case something
Oh,
goes
it's too
wrong,
late right
if I
now,
post it
right,
for
never
Friday
mind.
and they
Yeah,
don't
I'm
get it
just-
done,
I was thinking it was,
Yeah.
never mind. I
if
understand.
something happens.
I know better than that.
So, Monday at 4:15, 4:30?
4:15 works for me.
Works for me.
Okay.
4:15 on Monday.
Awesome. Look at all the work we're getting done. Any abatements this time?
Not this time.
Application statuses or new application or anything?
No new applications,
Where did I see one in the minutes?
yeah, nothing to go over application wise right now. We'll go, obviously that continuing business, we can quick update and all that.
Okay. All right, so now we're in the Chick Hill.
Let's see, so we've completed line cleaning. That was the second week of September, with some breakdowns, quick pushing to the third week of September. But it's all said and done anyway. Couple of trouble spots that we'll have to, once we get through some of this business that we're working on right now with compliance, we'll have to get back into the grease. I need, for sure, get on an inspection regimen, have one of the operators go out, because there was some couple of troubling manholes that had a significant amount of grease in them, so, and I can pinpoint a couple of facilities that it would belong to, so, one based on location and two based on smell, or the odor of the grease in question. So that was done. We completed one day of CCTV work. I just got to video back Friday, haven't watched it yet. No troubling notes came back with it, so I'm assuming that's a good thing. Most, it's a good connections and limited issues. Next Wednesday, we're scheduled to complete the cleaning process with the pump stations. That's been delayed based on previous scheduling and weather on this part. Aside from that, we are breaking down the fields, spray fields for the year, continuing mowing, and just in that seasonal transition, we're going to get ready to make snow sooner than later, unfortunately.
Business as usual?
Business as usual, we're very busy.
All right. Everybody's favorite? Sewer connection compliance. Now, I know last meeting, we asked for a letter to be sent out, I assume this is it? And we wanted it back by September 11th or something like that, but we didn't meet.
These are
There's a
letters
sheet
back.
in your packet that
Okay.
kind of outlines the updates that have come back to me,
Okay.
along with the Canada flash up, which keep.
There it is. Okay. So did that letter go out?
Yes,
Okay, I just
yeah,
figured.
it did, but Canada flash shop's the only one that returned anything in paper. Everybody else
Okay.
has phone calls.
Oh, they did call, that's good. So you got a response from everybody?
I tracked down Fontaine, but everybody else came in and saw me or called, except for Ken and Amber Haley, but I think you had conversations with them.
Yeah. I don't think that's that whole project. I need to actually sit with Kenny and get a more in-depth explanation, but obviously with the business venture on Main Street now, it does kind of change the footprint of their plans for that development. And then with the passing of Frenchie, I do believe Linda is now going to purchase or take over Frenchie's house rather than build up just up the road, up on the field a little ways. There still is a plan to demo the Davenport house, and then they'll stop, so I believe the store line will be put in place still, because I think Cash still plans on building up there, so I need to get a timeline change.
Well, if you're pretty sure they're planning to demo that, is that what you're saying, that's gonna happen?
For sure.
No, the town requires a demolition permit now, right?
Correct.
So, maybe if you sit with Kenny, or Linda, or whoever's gonna own the place, maybe they can come up with one of those demo permits and have that in writing, and then we would know that that connection is not, it doesn't need to be there anymore. Because if we know that the permit's signed, that's what they're doing,
There was going to be a house
Then we-
built back in that.
then we can be,
I'll get a plan for them, because there is a uncertain plan to put a house back there, that's not 100%, but they want to put a stub in there for the fact that they may put a house to sell back there.
so they still wanna do it anyways.
I believe so. So I need to get,
But-
I've
But if they tear the house down, we're not requiring them to do it anymore, because they don't need it.
Yeah, technically.
Right, that, I mean, this part becomes null and void, but if they want it, then,
If a house goes back in that spot, then yeah, you have to stub in.
okay. So, we're looking pretty good with that property, then, is what
Yeah.
it's.
I've been given a little, I want, wait for everything to happen, the funeral services this weekend, and then we'll
Sure.
get back into detail with family.
I think it'd be nice to have a plan from them before the first of the year.
Absolutely. I'm sure I can get that. Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, the fly shop's next. They sent us a letter.
Yeah, I'll put somewhere else. I did meet with Brent in regards to this. He gave me the plan. Unfortunately, it's been some time, so I can't remember all the details. But they really want to look at splitting the water service. Is what they're really hoping to do. Which will be a conversation for.
As long as they can get something from the owner of the place on either side, with a signature,
Absolutely.
then I'm okay with it.
So I think they're taking it seriously. That was their.
It's not like they're gonna pull a lot of water from the other place, so it's not a house, it's a bathroom that's gonna be used rarely.
Correct. So obviously, aside from what's here, McMillan, I haven't been up to meet with, since some of that rough, service work. I need to get back up there and, I know he's not connected, for sure. While I'm awaiting the purchase of the water meter and outside reader and else from there. I have met with Paul Packard in regards to some of the information. Paul's done some research on his end, internal plumbing for the filtration systems and whatever else, so we'll have some more information in regards to that too. He's doing well. He's a little more investigation there, but he's on par where he needs to be.
Yeah.
From what we've found so far, so.
He's the only one that's taken any physical action towards
Correct.
this anyway, so that's
Correct.
good. You wanna talk, why don't we talk about the fly shop blast on this list? Because that may require a motion. So Fontaine, he was here last week, is that what this is?
So I had gotten a call from his secretary, I don't know, September 10th, May the 11th, and she had given me the caretaker's name and phone number. Said that Fontaine was going to be up here first part of October, and everyone kind of come together with a plan. So I got a hold of Anthony today, and he turned me over to Randy Goodwin, who called me back, and he said that they do have plans. They want to put in a pump station this month or in November, and pump it to the existing line and then out to the sewer lines. So, I mean, they've talked about it, and it sounds like they're going to be moving forward. I don't have anything in writing or paper-wise, but I did have a conversation with him
Well,
today.
that's good. What do you think about that, Keith?
I think, given my conversation with Randy, had mentioned doing some work over there, so, I mean, yeah, sorry, I'm at a complete loss right now. I think for the gain of 4 momentum, I think I'm game for it, so.
So, what does the board, what does any of us think we need from them? Do we just keep floating along like we have and letting correspondence come through, or do we need to?
Well, they're obviously gonna have a plan of some sort if
Sure,
if
but
there's something written out.
Do we want a plan from these people? Not like all of these
Well,
people?
you kind of, well, you have to.
So,
Right.
yeah, so I think given the time frame right now, so there's no expectation for anybody to really complete anything between now
Sure,
and frost, so I think that gives them plenty of time. If we set a date, roughly,
that's what I'm after, yeah.
let's just say January for sake of a number, for a date right now, January, that give us some sort of construction schedule or plan that forecasts
Yeah, your 2019 plan.
what's gonna happen. I think it's unrealistic. I think it shows good faith in everybody. Obviously, we know that correspondences or communication in general have been difficult with some of these people, but I think to have something written from any one of these, at least just shows progress.
They have to pull a permit to,
They will have to pull a permit, so,
so that would be,
but, so we could have a letter that says, we'll have to have that in place, that knowing that you're gonna give us an update, but probably, I don't wanna pull a permit too early, obviously, because they're only valid for a year, so, rather than having a reoccurring cost. I mean, the idea of pulling a permit shows that they're gonna do something, but let's just, you start that you have a pull permit for a year, it costs you $400, you don't act on that permit, it's your own fault, but the renewal is $400, reoccurring process. There's no waiver.
we wanted this done by the end of the year, so if they let it go another year, then we've got issues anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we'll have to.
Unless we.
I'm just saying, if we have an application, we know it's gonna get done.
Next year.
I mean, even if it's next spring, but we know there's a commitment to get it done. I'm just wondering, I'm not saying that that's what I
No,
think should happen.
you're right, I agree with that.
I mean, I don't wanna be sitting here next year talking to Mr. Fontaine about
No.
getting this done, because, I mean, I know, and we won't, and I know we won't, but.
Just for the sake of time, I know we're discussing, but Selectmen's in here at 6, so
Well,
not to rush any.
let me tell you,
We're more
got some
important than
important stuff going on here. And we actually do, this needs to be talked
No, we're
about.
making good progress.
Okay, we'll get back to that in a second, if that's okay with everybody, so we can run through the rest of these before. Rudy got an estimate, 7 for sewer, 1,400 for water, and he hasn't got one back from the second contractor.
Right.
And the last line here says, looking to start this spring.
I think it's a finance thing.
Sure. I guess like we just talked about with the permit, if people are planning to do something, I wanna know that they're planning to do something.
Yeah, not just that.
Welcome.
Alright, it'd be nice, yeah. So it'd be
So
nice
what are
to-
you doing?
We're good.
So maybe, I mean, at least with those two, because they both seem to have some kind of timeline, I don't know what we want in writing.
Is it a written commitment then? Just something in writing saying this is what their plan is, that they can send us? Maybe that's good enough?
I had a hard time even getting them to write, to give me a written update. We got one out of the hand.
Well, I mean, it's either that or we take that line, looking to start this spring, and take it for what it's worth, and come March, Keith calls up and says, you're gonna start this spring, so is it gonna be April, May, or June?
I don't necessarily am unfavor of that. I believe in the paper trail coming from Frenchie. And that paper means a lot more signature on it than it does
Yeah.
any kind of verbal commitment. So I think I think the basic way to do this is give a note of a reminder that this was the agreement that we made. You had that year time frame. Some kind of written plan or contract that you're gonna put in place has a lot more weight to it. So
Yeah,
this is where we're at.
yep.
We can simplify that, but I think something in writing with their signature on it shows that we're gonna hold.
No, I agree.
What we stated.
Um,
I don't wanna fall into any more issues that would, from the past that we have to move forward with.
Right, and I understand this is not an easy topic, and I understand that it's a financial burden for people, but don't want it to get drawn out across the board. All right, let's talk about the fly shop. So they've written us a letter and stating that the cost a little overwhelmed them. They're a small business, and they're asking for 3 years to complete this project, which includes the remodel of the place to put a bathroom in and the sewer and water hookups. Now, the 3 years they're asking for, does that include the year that they've already had?
That would be my,
I remember when we spoke about it, I don't know if it was a voting consensus, but it seemed to be a consensus of the board that we asked them to get it done within a year, and we wouldn't let it go any further than 2.
But we also said that we're not here to put anybody out of business.
And that's right.
So I don't know that we can cut and dry, say, no, you get another year and get it done, or you
Right.
close up shop. But I do remember that discussion though.
So I guess I'll put a feeler out for the rest of you, what you think about this letter.
But we also said we'd work with them.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts?
I think we should work with them.
If we can have, there's another thing, can we get a solid commitment that it will be done in 3 years? I mean, that's
If they're asking for 3 years, then there has to be a written waiver,
absolutely.
like the ordinance says, and they'll have to be agreed to.
I think, agreed to, if for some reason they sell in that 3-year period, it has to be a clause in there that determines that purchaser has to immediately put something in that, make that structure up to date.
Yeah.
That way, rather than try to start a new agreement with a new owner.
So, if we were to grant this 3-year reprieve, how do we go about? I mean, I know how to get an agreement from this board and a signature from this board, but how do we go about getting something legal for them to sign?
We check with MMA, see if MMA has ever dealt with anything some kind of blanket
How-
agreement that they've used with other towns.
How did Frenchy deal with, as far as anything that he had in writing? Just what, see, he wrote something up and,
Wrote something up in a signature with his binding attachment, you know, so I mean, it.
I'm just wondering, I think we do it.
My fear with this, honestly, is, it's all public, is we grant this one property a 3-year waiver, then we kinda have to carry that across the board, or not necessarily have to.
Steve?
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
If you look back far enough, you'll find that the sewer commission had a policy in the past. And whether or not the policies were carried on many years after I left. But it has been brought to my attention that you have a number of properties that are not hooked up. So my suggestion would be to formulate a policy. And if this is the first one you deal with, say, look, you need 3 years. Then we give everybody 3 years from the date that you all agree upon it. And their notification is their signed document. You don't need a legal, my opinion only. You don't need legal to tell you if your policy states you have 3 years to comply from the date the sewer commission advises you that this is the date. That is your rule, and it does fall in with your sewer use ordinance, I believe, if you look at it.
Absolutely. So to speak on, in regards to that then is, seeing how we're already there, we've already sent that 1-year notice out to comply, and that one property that is in question that's already come in compliance with the dentist's office, or some showed progress. The property, obviously, given our ordinance, has that 10-year waiver based on the long lifespan of that septic system.
Right.
I mean, we kind of already have set the timeline.
But that kind of says, that's in the ordinance.
Yeah,
I mean, that's in our book, that we, the 10 years, I mean,
Oh,
that's.
yeah.
But the also, as far as letting these people wait 3 years, it's in here that we have the power to, I don't think we have to set a time, as I guess
You
is
have
what I'm trying to
leeway
say.
within the ordinance.
We have leniency to let things
Yeah.
go a little bit.
As long as we're consistent, it's my biggest thing.
I mean, we actually have cut down how many places aren't hooked up at this point. We're, what, 4?
No.
4 that we're working on, so we're there.
The consistency is absolutely important. The other side of that is, we have plans, we have correspondence from the other properties, giving us their plan on when they're gonna do this. One wants to do it in the spring, one is getting plans with their contractor to start doing some stuff in November, and then one, possible demolition of the house. This customer was the only one that asked for a specific time frame, and we already had people that had plans in place. I don't see anything wrong with granting a waiver to someone that's put a written request in. And I don't think we're inconsistent for not granting someone a waiver they haven't asked for.
Yeah, because we told all of them that we would work with them no matter
Sure.
what.
And we are,
Individually, right.
because we said we'd like to have this done within a year, and only one person has. And other people are telling us spring of 2019, and they're gonna start working in November of 2018, assuming to be finished in spring of 2019, because we'll have frost.
Absolutely.
So back to this particular waiver, or proposed waiver.
I guess we need some dates. I guess that's the next thing, right? We know what he wants. Is it 3 years, count the year that he's already used up?
I would think so. I guess, unless you want
Do we have,
clarification.
well, I'm just saying, do we have Keith, and we know that he's gonna ask for something, so
Sure.
it's not like we have to pass this tonight.
No,
Do we have Keith go ask the questions and meet with him and get a timeline? A better timeline, I guess?
no, I think we should, is this board inclined to take this as 3 years from October 9th? Or is,
Let's clarify, let's
What's it?
put it back to the property owner.
Yeah, let him set the
Okay.
completion date.
Obviously, it's not gonna be any later than that, I mean, you can't keep pushing it back, well, 3 years to the next meeting, or when you approve it, it has to be a
right,
retro at some point.
So I guess we look at 3 years
from the day,
from this date?
that would,
Yeah.
that's when he
My
asked.
question is, clarification wise, are we signing a request from him, or is he signing a proposal from us based on his request?
Right,
How does that work? Is the agreement on town letterhead that says he'll come in compliance within his requested term, or his request?
yeah, well, I don't have the
I'll-
answer to
I'll
that.
review that too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we gotta get a timeline from him first, and then, because we're gonna have to fill in that blank.
Okay, so I guess, we got some different things going on. I guess for the people that have plans to go ahead and do this in 2019, I'd like to have some kind of form, some kind of agreement that we can settle in the November meeting. And you're gonna talk to Ken Haley and see if he's putting in a demo permit, or whoever's gonna own that house, where it would not have to be compliant anymore.
Absolutely.
And that would change that. And as far as this last one that we spent some time on, you're gonna get some clarification, you said, on his request. And we're gonna have to, I think we're gonna have to act on that request at the November meeting.
Okay.
Any thoughts?
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Any new business?
Not at this time.
Any other related business?
No.
All right, the next sewer commission meeting is November 13th, 2018, and the next board of selectmen meeting will be the 22nd of October. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn at 5:43.
Second up.
Any discussion? All in favor? Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yes, let's just sign this,
Can we get it signed so that way I can send him a copy of the copy?